Meet your God, and he will call you to a... Those who are absent. You are all descended from Adam, and the best among you is he who most regards God.
Can I please request that you take your seats as we are about to begin tonight's program?
On Ashura in Karbala cried Fatima, by Allah, I will never forget you, Hussein. For you I cry each day and night, my tears won't dry. Ya Zahra, I will never forget your Hussein.
Hussein, 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 Hussein. On Ashura in Karbala, cry Fatima, by Allah, I will never forget you, Hussein. For you I cry each day and night, my tears won't dry. Ya Zahra, I will never forget your Hussein.
Hussein Karbala, Hussein the martyr, O son of Zahra, Hussein our master. For truth he did stand in that burning sun. He gave all he had for the sake of Allah. He gave everything from his brothers to his sons to be by his side. Now there isn't anyone. He called out his last, Alemaan, Sari and Surana. Peace be upon you, O heart of Fatima.
On Ashura in Karbala, cry Fatima, by Allah, I will never forget you, Hussein. For you I cry each day and night, my tears won't dry. Ya Zahra, I will never forget your Hussein.
Hussein's flag bearer, Zainab's protector, to quench all the thirst, you went for water. His heart in that flask, the soul of Abbas. His flag starts to fall, he looks for Sakina. He fell from his horse, how he landed on the sand. Abbas, just one thing we can never understand. How did you fall when they taken both your hands? Peace be upon you, martyr of Karbala.
On Ashura in Karbala, cry Fatima, by Allah, I will never forget you, Hussein. For you I cry each day and night,
cried and cried. The stars began to wail. The sun closed its eyes when they pulled Zainab's veil. Zainab is in tears and heads are on spears. I see just beauty for the sake of Allah. She gathers children as she is taken to Sham. She cries as she leaves when she sees Abbas's arms. She looks at Hussein and says Halat Salam. Peace be upon you, Zainab Kubra.
On Ashura, in Karbala, cried Fatima, my Allah will never forget you, Hussein. For you are drowned each day and night, my tears won't drown. Ya Zahra will never forget you, Hussein. On Ashura, in Karbala, cried Fatima, my Allah will never forget you, Hussein. For you are drowned each day and night, my tears won't drown. Ya Zahra will never forget you,
Hussein, I will never forget you, Hussein. I will never forget you, Hussein. I will never forget you, Hussein. I will never forget you, Hussein.
ارفعوا أصواتكم بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Sheikh Dr. Osama, respected guests, dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Al-Emaan extends a warm welcome to each and every one of you on the 7th night of the 2016 Muharram series. It is these gatherings in which we reflect on the ultimate sacrifice of the stranger of Karbala, and we remember our awaited Saviour, Chief, Guide, the final proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Imam Al-Mahdi. Indeed, it is He who hosts these gatherings, so that we may remember, grieve, and learn from the sacrifice epitomized by Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In order to commence tonight's program, we kindly request that you are mindful of the following housekeeping rules. Firstly, please ensure that your mobile phones are either switched off or kept on silent in respect to the reciters and speakers on stage. Please ensure that your cars are parked both legally and thoughtfully in line with council regulations. There is to be no seat minding for others, and this is to allow for those entering into the program at different stages throughout the night. Parents with small children, we request that you place your child on your lap, and this is to allow for others, and that your child please remain seated throughout the program. We request that there is to be no loitering outside the hall throughout the program, and that everyone remains inside. Also, if we can please minimize the gathering outside of the program or outside of the hall once the program has concluded. This is to ensure that we don't disturb the neighbours in the surrounding area. Alhamdulillah, these gatherings do have the ability to draw a large number of attendees. Each night, the volunteers work very hard to ensure that everyone is comfortable and attended to. If we can kindly request that you cooperate with these volunteers, and this will ensure a smooth running of the program, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Wa ali Muhammad. It is mentioned in one of the famous commentaries of Kitabullah in relation to the reliance of the Holy Quran, that for whomsoever the Holy Quran intercedes on the Day of Judgment, he will surely achieve intercession. And whoever seeks it to testify to his truthfulness will surely be regarded as a man of truth. For someone shall call out on the Day of Judgment, everyone who cultivates is tried by what he cultivates, except those who cultivate the Quran. So be among those who cultivate or follow it, and make it the means by which you reach your Lord. Seek its advice regarding your own souls. Compare your views with those of its own, and seek its help against yielding to your desires. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Tonight we are very fortunate enough to have two gifted brothers who will grace us with the recitation of the ayat of the Holy Quran. Please join me in welcoming Brother Jawad Tanana and Ali Mir'i with three of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فعسى ربي أن يؤتيني خيرا من جنتك ويرسل عليها حسبانا من السماء فتصبح صعيدا زلقا أو يصبح ماؤها غورا فلن تستطيع معي صبرا وأحيط بثمره فأصبح يقلب كفيه على ما أنفق فيها وهي خاوية على عروشها ويقول يا ليتني لم أشرك بربي أحدا ولم تكن له فئة ينصرونه من دون الله وما كان منتصرا هنالك الولاية لله الحق هو خير ثوابا وخير عقبا واضرب لهم مثل الحياة الدنيا كماء أنزلناه من السماء فاختلط به نبات الأرض فأصبح هشيما تذروه الرياح وكان الله على كل شيء مقتدرا المال والبنون زينة الحياة الدنيا والباقيات الصالحات والباقيات الصالحات خير عند ربك ثوابا وخير أملا ويوم نسير الجبال وترى الأرض بارزة وحشرناهم فلم نغادر منهم أحدا وعرضوا على ربك صفا لقد جئتمونا كما خلقناكم أول مرة بل زعمتم أن لن نجعل لكم موعدا ووضع الكتاب فترى المجرمين مشفقين مما فيه ويقولون يا ويلتنا ما لهذا الكتاب لا يغادر صغيرة ولا كبيرة إلا حصاها ووجدوا ما عملوا حاضرا ولا يظلم ربك أحدا وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس كان من الجن ففسق عن أمر ربه أفتتخذونه وذريته أولياء من دوني وهم لكم عدو بئس للظالمين بدلا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را تلك آيات الكتاب المبين. إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون. نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين. إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا إن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين. وكذلك يجتبيك ربك ويعلمك من تأويل الأحاديث ويتم نعمته عليك وعلى آل يعقوب كما أتمها على أبويك كما أتمها على أبويك من قبل إبراهيم وإسحاق إن ربك عليم حكيم لقد كان في يوسف وإخوته آية للسائلين إذ قالوا ليوسف وأخوه أحب إلى أبينا منا ونحن عصبة إن أبانا لفي ضلال مبين صدق الله العلي العظيم أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you, dear brothers. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prolong your life. For the well-being of the brothers, please sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Many within the community posed the question to our guest speaker, Sheikh Dr. Osama Al-Attar, about the performing of wudu and in its correct sequence. Rather than answering this question individually, Sheikh Dr. Osama has decided to do a demonstration of the correct wudu techniques for all of us to see. Please welcome him to the stage with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Jazakumullah khaira. As the sister just mentioned, some of the mu'mineen approached and asked about the proper way of doing wudu. And because this is something that we go over on a daily basis, it's important to learn how to do wudu accurately. And there are some consequences to this. For example, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the opportunity to go to Hajj, part of the requirements of Hajj is that you do tawaf. You need to be in the state of wudu as you do tawaf around the Kaaba, when you circulate around the Kaaba. So God forbid if your wudu is inaccurate, that could jeopardize your entire tawaf, which could in turn jeopardize your entire Hajj. And the last thing you would want to happen to you is when you come back here all the way to Sydney, Australia, and you realize, my gosh, my wudu was inaccurate, it may have been batil, and therefore what do I do with my Hajj? So this is an issue that is recurring, and it's a good thing for us to learn how to perform wudu. As such, I figured instead of me just indicating to these mu'mineen how to perform wudu, I'd rather show everyone here, so that inshallah you in turn, my brothers and my sisters, can be my ambassadors and demonstrate to people how to perform wudu accurately. So if I can have everyone's attention, please pay attention as I will demonstrate to you how to perform wudu accurately, inshallah. And unfortunately, we don't have time here to interact in the sense of entertain questions afterwards. So if I may request you, please, if you have questions, you may come and see me after the lecture, and then we can discuss them. Or we have, inshallah, in the coming nights, a Q&A session, I believe, and then we can maybe elaborate a bit more if there are any clarifications to be made. I'll try to be as elaborate as I can be, so that, inshallah, it is clear to everyone. So the first thing I like to do before performing the wudu is remove any jewelry. So if you're wearing a watch or any jewelry, so I personally like to remove it all. Take it all out. And this is kind of to make sure that the water reaches everywhere in my skin. You want to hold it? I can put it in my pocket. Is that okay? Sure. It's okay, This way, not that I don't trust you or anything, brother. Please, So, I feel bad for you now. Okay, you can help. One ring. Hold this one. Okay, make sure I get it back though. So, remove all the jewelry. Okay. Second thing, obviously, your niyyah, your intention. So you can make a general niyyah. Like I could say, I am doing wudu qurbatan ila Allah ta'ala. Seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's a general niyyah. And you can do, it's mustahab to be in the state of wudu when you read dua, for example. It's mustahab to be in the state of wudu when you read the Quran. And of course, you need to be in the state of wudu when you are praying. So therefore, this is a general niyyah that I can perform for general purposes. Reading dua, Quran. In fact, it is even mustahab to be in the state of wudu throughout the day, if you are able of doing so. So throughout the day be in the state of wudu, so that your whole day you are in the state of tahara, purity. And that has an impact on yourself. That's from the metaphysical world that I was talking about here. The ajr, the a'mal, you are always in the state of tahara, purity. So it's mustahab, and it's good. I know some mu'mineen who do this the whole day. MashaAllah, throughout the day, they are in the state of wudu, tahara, and it's even mustahab before you go to bed. You are in the state of tahara, that you do wudu and go to bed even. Okay, so the niyyah, I am doing wudu qurbatan ila Allah ta'ala. So now I've made my intention. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove my turban, and that's $1 million question. Does Sheikh have hair? And if so, what's the color of his hair? Okay. Ya Allah. That I can. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Okay, sorry. No, I put. So, we begin by washing the face twice. Okay? Now watch how I wash the face. You all watching? Okay. So I pour the water. Of course, I've made my niyyah. Now I pour the water from the top to the bottom. Look. That's. And my motion also top to bottom. You can see I'm going top to bottom, from my forehead to my chin. That way. Some people go like this, as if they're washing their face. No, that's wrong. You need to go in this gesture. This way. Top to bottom. Okay, like this. Okay? So I'm going several times just to demonstrate. Again. What is wajib is this much, from the thumb to the middle finger. That's what's wajib. So you can see I am covering my face from the thumb to the middle finger. However, as you notice, my hand does not cover my entire face. You can see, my hand does not cover the entire face. This is what is wajib. It's mustahab. If you have a hand like mine, like most people do, which is an average hand, it's mustahab to go over the other part, the other area of the face. So now I've covered my entire face, my eyes, and the whole face like this. So you've seen this? This is once. Now we do this a second time. Again, I just did it multiple times to show you. So now, again, I repeat the exact same thing. Again. Top to bottom, like this. And then it's mustahab to go and finish the rest of the face like I just did. Okay, so you understand now? This is washing the face twice. I'm done now with my face. Now, mustahab to do this, is not wajib. For the men, you pour the water on the out of your elbow, the outside. For the ladies, it's mustahab, not wajib. Mustahab to pour it on the inside of your elbow. So I'm going to pour it on the outside of my elbow, and I'll wipe down. Now watch. My arm stays down. And I keep on wiping from the elbow down to the fingers, including the hand. Some people forget about the hand because the hand is wet from the water. So they forget. They just go like this. You need to go all the way to the tip of your fingers. So you have to go like this. Okay? What I like to do as well is to go like that and have my fingers just go over in between so that I make sure I cover what's in between my fingers as well. And this way I'll have myself covered. Again, I'm going lots of times just to demonstrate the action. So you see my arm is down, pointing downwards, and I'm going from the elbow to the fingers, to the hand. Okay, so that is my right arm, and I do the exact same thing with my left. Again, for the brothers, it is mustahab to go on the outside of your elbow. For the sisters, it's from the inside. But that's mustahab. Doesn't make a difference. Okay, so here we go. And again, now I have poured the water, and I'm going again from the top to the bottom. You are allowed to pour water more than once. So if once is not enough, you feel you need more, go ahead and pour a second time. But once you wipe, khalas, you can't pour anything anymore. Okay, so I started wiping, so I cannot pour anything anymore. I could have poured a couple more times before wiping. Is that clear? Okay. So now I finished my arm, and I've done it all the way up to the hand, the fingers. Okay, it's mustahab to take these 3 middle fingers, those 3, to go from about 2/3 of your head like this, and to go down to the forehead. Okay, it's mustahab. Those 3 middle fingers as I went. Then with your right hand, you go over to the right foot, and you wipe as such up to the ankle, from the toe to the ankle, and the left foot with the left hand with the left foot, and from the toe to the ankle. I have just finished my wudu. So this completes the wudu process. Got to make sure that when you perform your wudu, there is nothing of a barrier that will prevent the water from reaching your skin. So for example, suppose I have some glue on my hand. I need to remove this glue to the best of my ability before performing the wudu. Sisters, nail polish. It is not permissible to have nail polish when you're performing your wudu on your fingers, on your hands. Nail polish must be removed. And this is according to all the fuqaha. They all say that nail polish must be removed from the hands before performing the wudu. Sisters, on the toes. Here is a tip for you, sisters. I know you guys are smart sometimes. So what is required in the toes, on the foot, technically speaking, it's mustahab to do like this, as I mentioned, as I did. But what's required, you can take one finger and just go on one toe. For example, this big toe, and I can go up to my ankle. That's what's required. So some sisters, mashallah, are very smart. What they do is they put their nail polish on 4 toes. And they keep that little pinky one with no nail polish. And they just wipe over it to the ankle. Smart. Yeah. But it's permissible. It's permissible. Of course, men are not allowed to see your nail polish. So, of course, make sure that you cover it. You have to wear socks in that case. It's haram to expose your makeup. But it's permissible. So that's your tip, sisters. So make sure, first of all, that there is no barrier. So you have to make sure that there's no barrier between the water and reaching your skin. So that's one thing. Second thing, you have to make sure that the areas where you're doing wudu, your face, your arms, your foot, etc., they have to be tahir. So if you cut yourself, for example, working and you cut yourself accidentally, and some blood came out, then you wiped it off. You wiped it. You got to make sure that you make it tahir, purify it. So put it under water, so that it becomes tahir. Okay, so the areas must be clean in the sense that water has to reach your skin, and it must be tahir. Okay, so that is basically wudu. Now what do you do? There are many special circumstances, cases. What if someone breaks an arm? They have a cast. All these are different scenarios that they can be addressed separately. But this is, generally speaking, the way to perform wudu. So make sure your niyyah is accurate. You've done your niyyah. The intention is done. You perform the methodology of the wudu accurately. Final thing. The hair and the feet, when you're performing wudu, must be more dry than your hands. What do I mean by this? No, I'm washing my face, I've done my wudu, and now I have my wetness on my hand, right? That's how I wipe my head and my feet, correct? If someone just stepped out of the shower, came out of the shower and said, okay, I'm going to do wudu right now. Well, their hair is pouring, it's very wet. They have not dried it yet with a towel or anything. Just stepped out of the shower and said, I'm going to do my wudu. That hair is too wet. You got to dry it a little bit. Even with a towel. You can just take a towel and dry. You don't need to have a blow dryer, for example. So that is permissible. Just have a towel, dry your hair, dry your feet. It does not have to be completely dry, but dry enough such that when you wipe your head, the hand, which is wet, transfers its wetness to the head versus the head transferring its wetness to the hand. Does that make sense? Am I clear here? Okay, good. Same thing with the feet. The feet need to be dry enough such that you are transferring the wetness from the hand to the feet versus the feet to the hand. Another thing. When wiping the feet need to be stationary. The hand has to move. So for example, I can put my feet like this and move my hand. I cannot do this. Keep my hand stationary and move my feet. That is not allowed. Okay. That's why it's recommended that you have your foot positioned. Why are you taking the water away, brother? The water, give me the water. You can drink a little bit. That's the beauty of our wudu. See, I just took, Hajj, Mark, give me that water again. Please. No. Look at Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. See how environmental our wudu is. Look how much water I just used. This much. MashaAllah. Very environmental. That's the way we are. So this is the way we do wudu, and then you can drink the rest of the bottle like I just did. So we can just keep it here for myself to enjoy afterwards. Okay, so make sure, that's why it's recommended, going back, that the foot be positioned on a stationary place so that you can move your hand over your feet. It's mustahab, but it's necessary that the hand moves over the foot or the feet, and it's not the other way around where the foot is moving under the hand. So this is basically, in a nutshell, the correct methodology of performing wudu. Inshallah, from this night onward, you perform wudu accurately, and you can go ahead and teach your children, your friends, your relatives how to perform wudu. One last thing. For some people who, mashallah, have a lot of hair, most men will be like, oh, not me, my friend. Once they hit their about 40s, then mashallah, they start getting an air conditioning on their heads. But if you have a lot of hair, then in that case, you need to part your hair so that when you wipe your head, you're wiping the scalp. Okay? Otherwise, if you have short hair like most brothers and men do, then you can just wipe it on top of the hair because it's short enough that, it will get to the scalp. So it's not that thick. But if you have thick hair, then you need to part your hair a little bit so that you are wiping the scalp. Inshallah, you found this beneficial, and keep me in your dua, and inshallah we'll continue later with the lecture. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you, Sheikh, for that insightful demonstration. I'm sure each and every one of us have learnt something new tonight. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Just a reminder, dear brothers and sisters, that the volunteers do work extremely hard to cater for each and every one of you. For the last few nights, we have reached capacity. However, each of the brothers and sisters will still endeavour to find you a seat. Again, I stress the importance of cooperating with the volunteers. The last few nights, there have been instances in which the volunteers have been spoken to in an unacceptable manner. For the sake of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, we request that you remain patient. Work with them to ensure that the program runs smoothly. You will be seated based on the time of your arrival. Those who arrive early will be seated towards the front, and it will continue from there. If you do leave your seat for a prolonged period of time, we cannot guarantee that your seat will remain empty, as we have people arriving at different times throughout the program. Al-Emaan thanks you for cooperating with this, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you all for your efforts in commemorating during these blessed nights. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Evidently, the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is embodied within each of us tonight. For the sake of gaining knowledge over these sacred nights, we have all made sacrifice, however small. We have sacrificed our work, leisure, rest, and comfort. Why? To revive the soul. To begin the new year fresh, with knowledge, and revisit the calamities of our beloved and familiar Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. What is it that brings the soul to these gatherings? Is it merely a feeling of religious obligation? Rather, it is the innate love that we hold for our Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Our dire need for their intercession, and our yearning for the nearness to our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Battle of Karbala was over 1300 years ago, but it remains timeless because oppression of the innocent is ongoing, and those who speak the truth are still kept silent. With every tragedy, we pray for someone to rid the world of its impurities and restore peace and justice. We long for the reappearance of our Imam, the awaited one, the one who will rise, Al-Imam Al-Mahdi. For the hastening of his reappearance, ارفعوا أصواتكم بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. To help us on our quest in fulfilling our duties to the Imam of our time, please join me in re-welcoming Sheikh Dr. Osama Al-Attar to the stage with 3 of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. A reminder that the volunteers will be coming around with writing material if you wish to ask His Eminence any questions. These will be reviewed and answered throughout the remainder of the lecture series, inshallah. Also, I would like to remind you all that Al-Emaan will be hosting the commemoration for the day of Ashura, known as the Maqtal. This is to be held on Tuesday, the 11th of October, from 10 a.m. in this hall. The program will continue and conclude with Salat al-Dhuhr al-Asr, inshallah, Salat al-Jama'ah. And of course, we extend a welcome to each and every one of you, and we do hope to see you all there, inshallah. If I can kindly also request that at the conclusion of the program, may we ask that the brothers allow for the sisters to leave the hall first. This is to avoid any unnecessary congestion. Al-Emaan thanks you for your ongoing continued patience and support. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Jazakumullah khairah, brothers and sisters. If I may request the brothers and the sisters to please try to shift in as much as you can if you have an empty seat, so that inshallah others can benefit from it. And the sisters as well, please, if you have any empty seats, make them available so that others can also benefit from them. Jazakumullah khairah. And if I can remind the mu'mineen and the mu'minat, the brothers and the sisters, to keep their mobile phones on silent or to turn them off, please, during this time of the program. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين المصطفى أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله يا غريب كربلاء. رزقنا الله في الدنيا زيارتكم وشفاعتكم في الدنيا والآخرة. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وقرآنه الحميد وقوله الحق: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولا تقتلوا أولادكم خشية إملاق نحن نرزقهم وإياكم إن قتلهم كان خطأ كبيرا. ولا تقربوا الزنا إنه كان فاحشة وساء سبيلا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. We started our discussion about these verses, number 22 to 39 of Surah Al-Isra, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to turn to Him to make him at the center of our lives. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us some guidelines. If we want to make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the center of our lives, we need to constantly remember Him, worship nothing other than Him, by reciting the Holy Quran, by reading dua, by attending the majalis of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam throughout the year and not only at the time of Muharram, by going for ziyarah to the holy shrines of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, by listening to lectures about the dhikr of Ahlul Bayt and their merits, by reading about their history and their lives. We can constantly surround ourselves in an environment that will remind us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and teach us the guidelines according to what Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam have taught us. Then we need to take care of the parents, be kind to them. At the same time, we need to be kind to our relative, to our families, to the society at large, watching our manners and our behavior, as it is the essence of our interaction. Doing so will draw us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In these two verses, number 31 and 32 of Surah Al-Isra, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions two important points. We will take a look at them, inshaAllah, in the course of our discussion. The first point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in verse number 31, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ خَشْيَةَ إِمْلَاقٍ نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُهُمْ وَإِيَّاكُمْ إِنَّ قَتْلَهُمْ كَانَ خِطَأً كَبِيرًا. And do not kill your children out of the fear of poverty. We grant you sustenance and them. Indeed, killing them is a major mistake and major sin. The Arabs in the past, of course, they used to kill their daughters. They used to think of the daughter as a burden, girls as burden. And therefore, they used to bury their daughters, unfortunately, alive. Once the daughter is born, they used to bury her alive. This practice, of course, the Holy Prophet ﷺ condemned, spoke against it, praised girls, praised women, and elevated their status in the society from being objects to human beings, to the mothers, to the contributors of the society, who are not any less but rather even greater than men. This ayah, however, seems to be talking about something different. Apparently, the Arabs, not only did they used to bury their girls, but sometimes out of the fear of poverty, if they were impoverished, they would also bury their boys too. So boys and girls, fearing that, this child will become a burden. And hence, they used to even bury sometimes the boys. This ayah came to condemn such an act, that do not kill your children, boys or girls, out of the fear, speculating, khashyata imlaq, that you're speculating poverty. We will grant you your rizq. Don't worry about the money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide it for you and for them. So turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, killing them is a major sin. It's a major mistake. You should avoid it. In this day and age, there is some killing of children, but it's in a different form. There is what's called abortion. Now, Islam has its own regulations with regards to abortion. I don't want to get into it because it's quite specific or case specific. Some of the fuqaha and the maraja and the jurists allow, in fact, the majority of them allow abortion in the case when the life of the mother is in jeopardy. So if the life of the mother is threatened, and there is basically a choice between saving the life of the mother or the child, then the mother is chosen. Her life is brought first. So in that case, most of the fuqaha, they say abortion is permitted to terminate the life of the fetus, to save the mother. Most of the fuqaha say this. What if the life of the mother is not threatened? Then is it allowed to have an abortion? Here where there is a difference of opinion. Some of them say, no, you're not allowed. From the time of conception, khalas, it's done, and you're not allowed to have an abortion. Others say, the soul does not enter the body of the fetus until 120 days. So you have 120 days. Within this period, you may have an abortion. There is a difference between the opinion of the fuqaha. What about having an abortion after this 120 days? Is it possible or not? Again, there is a difference on the opinion of the fuqaha. That's where you need to go back to your jurist. It's a case by case. They study the cases and they give and they analyze. So there is no blank answer, black and white, yes or no. They study the case. Some of the fuqaha, for example, they say if this pregnancy, if the child, once it's born, is going to cause unbearable difficulty to the mother, to the family, then abortion may be permitted. What is this unbearable difficulty? What is this unbearable condition? That's where I say it's not a black and white. It's a case-by-case study. So they have to study the case and a conclusion needs to be made. This is the physical aspect. There is something else, though, that is happening in this day and age. Sometimes as parents, we may not be killing our children physically, but we may kill them spiritually. What do I mean by this? We need to pay attention to the upbringing of our children. The upbringing of the children is very important. From the time of conception, even before conception, people need to prepare themselves, purify themselves. And the upbringing begins even before conception. Once this child is conceived and born, now we need to try to train them, educate them on the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So that is something important, my brothers and my sisters. In some cases, because of today's demanding lifestyle, some parents, both of them end up working. When that is the case, then where do they put the child? In child care, in daycare. Now a daycare may not be able and will not be able to provide the love of the parents that the child needs. Children need the love of their parents. A daycare, their responsibility is to maintain the life of the child, just to make sure that the child remains alive. Do they provide the child with love, with compassion? You know, sometimes you have a child who may be like 1 year old. When you hug that child, you feel that this child is feeling some joy. That hug to this child is not just a hug. It's a comfort. It's a psychological, emotional attachment to the parents,
a feeling of security. It has a huge impact on the development of this child. A daycare or a child care cannot provide this. And therefore, you may have sometimes children who grow up to become a little bit aggressive. Maybe part of the reason is because they felt insecure when they were little, and hence that resulted in their feeling of being aggressive. Even this first few months, some parents might say, he's only a baby, what does he know? Research actually shows the opposite. Even these babies, these children, they have feelings. They feel things. And sometimes, in some research, they have shown that children as young as 8 months old, those who have been brought up in foster homes, in orphanages, where they're lacking love, they're lacking compassion, these children end up becoming criminals when they grow up. So, I am not saying that we should not put our children there. That's again a choice a family has to make. And sometimes people are forced, for whatever reason. But what I'm saying is that sometimes we need to think about what's really important in our lives. If possible for us to raise our children as the parents, then that is something that we need to look into. That's one thing. Second thing, our children sometimes these days, we keep them in the front of the television. We think that they are watching cartoons. And these cartoons are safe. Cartoons are fine, but within a limit. Don't have them 24 hours in front of the television. Television is not going to teach them akhlaq, manners, proper ethics, morality, Islam, Quran, deen. These cartoons, okay, they can watch a little bit, but pay attention, what are they watching on these cartoons? My dear parents, be with them as they watch the cartoons. See, what are they watching? Some of these cartoons may appear as a cartoon, but the language they speak is inappropriate. And I mean inappropriate could be the way that the child speaks to the parent or the child speaks to his friends is inappropriate. It's not the way that the Islam taught us to be respectful to our parents. So these children, as they grow up with these cartoon characters speaking in such a way, they start absorbing it and behaving like it subconsciously. So we need to really think, what are our children watching? And some cartoons, brothers and sisters, the other day, a young person approaches me. A teenager, young teenager, in their early teens. And this young teenager, brothers and sisters, told me that, you know what, there are many youth, teenagers, who have this question on their mind, but they are afraid of asking you, Sheikh. So I came to ask you. I said, what is it? He said, there are some cartoons that we are watching. These cartoons, this is teenager, huh? These cartoons contain scenes that make us think about relationships, if you know what I mean, physical relationships. And so what is happening is that boys and girls are constantly thinking about this. And these are young teenagers, early teens. So this person is asking me, what do we do, Sheikh? I told him, first of all, it is haram to watch such cartoons. It may be a cartoon, but it's haram. if that's what it's doing to you, it's promoting you to think constantly about this issue. Thinking about it constantly will drive you one day to do it in an unlawful way, as we will come to inshallah in the course of our discussion. So parents, just because the children are watching a cartoon, are you aware what is this cartoon? What is the content of this cartoon? What is this animated movie about? I remember once a mother, a mu'minah, she told me, I went to my child's school. They have an after-school program where they have an animated movie playing. So I went and asked, what is the animated movie you play in the after-school program? The teacher looked at me and said, no, don't worry, it's just a Disney movie. The mother said, that actually concerns me even more now. Just because it's a Disney movie doesn't mean that it's khalas, Sometimes some of these movies contain things from the Islamic perspective. They don't carry the value and the spirit and the akhlaq of what is taught to us by the Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. So we really have to pay attention to what is our children watching. And my brothers and my sisters, here's something for you. Alhamdulillah, now with the internet and YouTube, there are so many options available online. I know a family whose children, mashallah, speak Arabic very fluently. Not only Iraqi Arabic or Lebanese Arabic, they actually speak Fusha, classical Arabic. When asked, how did you do this? The parents replied, they said, from the childhood, our children, we only play for them cartoons that are in Arabic. Ones that we used to watch when we were young. So now, from watching these cartoons regularly, our children don't watch other language cartoons. They learn English, for example, they learn whatever when they go to school. They go to school, they watch it. Or, they watch, for example, 1 day a week, 2 days a week in English, but the rest they watch in Arabic. And this helped these children speak such good Arabic language. They understand Fusha, classical Arabic. So that is something that parents can try. They can use these cartoons to their advantage in strengthening the Arabic language of their children so that they can understand the Arabic language. That's the second thing. So the cartoons that our children watch, sometimes these animated movies, they can destroy the manners and the akhlaq and the spirituality of our children. They can kill them spiritually. Third, video games. And this baby is crying because I mentioned video games now. Yes. Brothers, and even some sisters, these are video games. Some of these video games are terrible. There is one specific video game, I don't want to mention its name, but it is very popular. I already hear some boys mentioning the name, mashallah. It's about stealing cars. A game that teaches about stealing cars. So you can see where are we going here. Boys, you in the front here, even men, mashallah, not just boys. Honestly, I can't unfortunately see the guys behind the screen, but even you are included, huh? I'm watching you. Yeah. How many of you play this game? Honestly, come on. Nobody? No, Allah, I don't believe you. With all due respect, I love you all, but even some girls probably. How many of you play this game? This game we should stay away from it. Religiously, it's a problem to play this game from the religious perspective. This game promotes violence, promotes abuse of women. One day, one of the brothers, what he did, he came to the center, the Islamic center, the Husayniyah, and he had a PowerPoint, one of the youth. He had a PowerPoint. You know, the boys, the parents are sitting down here. Now, the problem, do you know what's the problem? If you look at the rating of this game, it says that you have to be 18-year-old plus to play this game. So when the child goes to buy this game, they don't sell it to him. When your children go to buy this game, they don't sell it to them. Who buys the game for them? Huh? Parents, yeah. Did they buy it for you? Huh? Yeah. You, parents, are buying these games for your children. Your child, your son, this innocent 10-year-old, or whom you think is very innocent, comes to you, Baba, Habibi, Eid is coming up. Baba, all my friends are playing this game. It's a racing game. It's about cars. And you know, boys love cars. That's what you taught me, Baba. صحيح? Hey wallah ibni بعيوني حبيبي. تكرم. So Baba, I want you to buy me this game. بعيوني حبيبي. تكرم. No problem. I would love it. On Eid, that's my Eid present to you. You love me, son, don't you? Baba, you're the best Baba in the world. Habibi Baba. And you go and you buy these games for these children. You are buying them. Now the son takes this game and he has, mashallah, a television in his bedroom and the whole device in his bedroom. And what are you doing, son? Baba, I'm playing the racing game that you bought for me. Thank you, Habibi Baba. Good job, son. Well done, mashallah. One of these youth came to the Islamic Center one day. He had a PowerPoint presentation on the screen like this here, where he told the parents, you know, parents, how many of you bought this game for your children? Believe me, over 50% of the parents raised their hands. Then this youth, this young man asked the parents, said, do you know what this game is about? So the parents innocently answered, you know, it's about racing, car racing game. He said, oh, really? Let me show you what this game is about. And he started showing some of the scenes from this game on the screen. The parents' jaws dropped. They said, no way, my son, my daughter is playing this? He said, yes, they are. But no, I'm sure my son skips these areas. He said, sorry, no, Habibi, wallah. They don't. Because you have to complete this level to go to the next level. These games are killing our children. And even scientists and scholars are speaking against them. In a paper that was published, a scientific paper that was published this year, in April of this year, a study that was done from scientists in Italy, the Netherlands, and the United States, all three. Here is what they say. The title of the game, the title of the article, this is a scientific article published, peer-reviewed journals. Acting like a tough guy, violent, and then they have this word, I don't want to mention it, video games, identification with game characters, masculine beliefs, and empathy for female violence victims. What they say, the authors here, interestingly, listen to what they say. They say, in particular, some works, means some studies in the past, some researchers, have shown that when experiencing a virtual world, players are likely to establish a connection between themselves and their game character. Players establish a connection between themselves and the game character. And even imagine themselves to be that character. Do you know what that means? Did you understand what they said? They said if the players start playing this game of violence, they start to imagine that they are that character. They associate with that character. So what impact will that have on the children? On their upbringing? This creates problems. I'm not saying do not play games. No. Everything is good in moderation. First of all, don't spend hours every day. You need to have rules. For example, 1 hour a day maximum that you're playing on this game. For example, 2 hours, whatever you choose as parents and you seem to be appropriate. But not that children are playing the minute they get up from their sleep until they go back to sleep. Second, these games, what games are they playing? That's why my brothers and my sisters, in my humble opinion, children should not have a TV in their bedroom. TVs should be in the living room. Now children are going to hate me. Sheikh, what are you doing to us, my brother? The TV should be in the bedroom so that you are in the background seeing what those guys are playing. Observing what they're... When you see something wrong, you can understand, you can realize. How come these parents did not realize what their children are playing? Because they're not playing in front of the parents. So some of these video games, they corrupt people spiritually, morally. Even the older people. And therefore, religiously, it's a problem playing these games. These games should not be played. Avoid them. That's the third thing. So, daycares, sometimes, if we can avoid them, that will be good. Parents, raise your children in the house. Second, cartoons. Make sure what cartoons they're watching. Third, video games. Fourth, these things. And these things. How many of you parents have bought these for your children? I see children playing them right now as I speak, in fact. As I speak, they're playing these things. These days, mashallah, a baby is born. The minute he is born, he speaks like Isa alayhi salam. Where is my iPhone? Subhanallah, And we say, tfaddal. We give them these things. Do we ask our children, what are they doing with these things? Why do we train them to watch these things 24/7? Let's try to train our children. Now I understand, you come to the program, you tell me, Sheikh, sometimes the programs are 2 hours long, 3 hours long. How can I keep my 4-year-old, 5-year-old, under control for that long? I understand. I respect that. But at least, why can't we train our children that at least during the duration of the lecture, pay attention. No games, no tablets, no phones. Problem is even the adults now these days. Here in the lecture, sitting, mashallah. People are becoming phone-caholics, text-caholics. They want to text everything. And mashallah, they have context these days on how fast can teenagers type. There are some teenagers who are addicted to these devices. These devices have internet connection. Do you know what your son or daughter is doing on the internet? These social networking websites, what are your children doing on them? Are you parents on your children's social networking websites, on their accounts? Have they added you? Do you see what they're doing? Because some children have what I call a schizophrenia when it comes to the internet. At home, he's an angel. MashaAllah, malak. When he goes to the internet, subhanallah, when you read some of these posts, you'll be like, I'm shocked. Is this my son? Is this my daughter? No way. I am an educator. I have a master's in education. I worked in schools as an administrator. You should see the shock on parents' faces. Sometimes. When they discover that their son or daughter is a bully, for example, they use language that is shocking to the parents. I can't believe my son or my daughter is using such language. Say yes, unfortunately. Because you gave them these devices without really teaching them, without guidelines. Again, in my humble opinion, these devices, children should not use them in their bedrooms. These should be in the living room. Now, tonight is Friday night. Please, don't storm your child's room and say, give me your phone. Alas, jiba. What happened, Baba? I just came from the Sheikh's lecture. He said, give me all the phones. Don't blame me, Haji, huh? It's not my fault. This is a recommendation. You can act on it if you wish. But educate your children. Do you know how many boys are talking to girls on these devices? How many unlawful relationships ignite between mu'mineen? A girl that you may not think, a boy that you may not think would do something like this. But shaitan is there. You think shaitan is away on vacation when you are online? Bullying. There has been serious cases. You know, in Canada, if you are 12 years old and one day, the minute you pass 12 years of age, you may be charged by the law if you are caught with bullying, including cyberbullying. They can put you in prison. You may be charged. Now, if you are under 18, you're not allowed to have a phone. So who buys these phones for our children when they're under 18, brothers and sisters, huh? Huh? Parents. So parents are buying these games. Parents are buying all this. When you buy all this, it comes with a responsibility. Are you responsible? Do you know what they're doing? Who are they talking to? What are they posting? I know, for example, some sisters who would not allow any males to see their accounts. They only have females. So this is something for us to think about. What are our children doing with these devices? Who are they talking to? What are they saying? How are they behaving? There's been serious consequences sometimes with these issues. So sometimes we're not killing our children physically, but we're killing them spiritually. 5. Bringing our children to these majalis. Not just in Ashura, but throughout the year. We need to teach our children about Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, about Islam, about Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And this is not only during Ashura and the 10 days of Ashura, and then we go khalas. Throughout the year, bring them to these majalis. They have barakah, thawab, ajr. They cleanse you. Cleanse you. I was talking to one of the brothers who was saying that when I grew up here in this country, my father used to take me to the majalis, but I did not have a clue of what the speaker was talking about. All I caught was Hussein. When I grew older and I heard of Imam Hussein, I remembered the days when my father and my mother used to take me to the majalis of Imam al-Hussein. And these memories brought me back to the path of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. These majalis provide seeds that grow into beautiful trees in the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. One of the sisters one time sent me a message where she said that my children are 3-year-old and 5-year-old. When they come to the majalis, to keep them entertained, I bring some toys with me. So as they sit down, they play with their toys, and I can listen to the majlis. She says, to my surprise, I was surprised. My child is playing. when I saw my child at home playing with his toys, all of a sudden I would hear my son saying a word from your majlis. He said, for example, Imam Hussein went to Karbala. Ajib, 3-year-old, 5-year-old, and he's playing during the majlis, but apparently he's playing with his toys, but his ears are where? With the speaker. So don't think that these children don't understand, don't know what's going on. That's why, brothers and sisters, this is just as a side note, but it's an important side note. Do you know it is makruh in the religion? It is makruh. Very makruh. For a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, to have a relationship in the same bedroom where their baby child is present. We have a hadith about this. Do not have the child. Some people might think it's a baby. What does he know? Even if he's sleeping. It's makruh. The ahadith say if such an act is committed, this child may grow up to be, wal'iyadu billah, someone who commits haram. So, even though it's a baby, he may not even be awake. But these children have understanding. So we need to pay attention to what are we doing to them. Bringing them to the majalis is extremely important. So these are 5 things we need to really pay attention to, brothers and sisters. This is with regards to our children. Now imagine if the children are growing up in a culture where they are seeing all this haram around them. What will happen? What will happen? Here is an article written a few years ago where an author is talking about how boys and girls perceive the objectification of women. What do we mean by objectification of women? Treating women as objects. Many authors today complain that women are being disrespected when women are portrayed as objects of entertainment. They are portrayed in magazines, in newspapers, on television, wearing inappropriate clothing, projecting themselves. They say this kind is called objectification. They're objects. They talk about this. So there is an author, her name is Jennifer Shoemaker, Shoe with S-H-E-W, not S-H-O-E, S-H-E-W Maker, M-A-K-E-R. She says the following: the research tells us that when young boys see women in this way, they begin to think of girls and women as objects instead of complex people with whom they can develop mutual relationships. And even girls, they're not immune either. Even the girls are not immune either. There is a professor by the name of Patrice Oppliger, O-P-P-L-I-G-E-R. She has a book written in 2008. She is a professor from Boston University. In her book that she has written, she says, instead of advancing women's power, popular culture trends in the United States appear to be backsliding into, she uses a word that I don't want to use here, something, exploitation of women. She says, there is little doubt that the media and saturation of advertising have powerful effects over attitudes and behaviors of consumers of that media. The average young female is dependent on the media to set standards of beauty and success. Standards of beauty and success. So when girls watch whatever they watch on the media, the portrayal of women that they are objects, they start to internalize this and they want to depict themselves as this, as objects. In another paper, the author Zeminski, he quotes, or he mentions in his paper. These papers, by the way, are research papers. These are articles, like peer-reviewed journals. The author says, Fredrickson and Roberts, two researchers, asserted that women, to varying degrees, internalize this outsider view and begin to self-objectify by treating themselves as an object to be looked at and evaluated on the basis of appearance. Self-objectification manifests in a greater emphasis placed on one's appearance attributes rather than competence-based attributes, and in how frequently a woman watches her appearance and experiences her body according to how it looks. This is research. So here we have a culture where scientists are complaining, scholars are complaining. There is an author by the name of Dr. Hurtsk, Alan Hurtsk, from the University of Oklahoma. He's written a paper called The Moral Ecology. He says today, some countries, some governments are putting taxes on companies that pollute the environment. The carbon tax, for example, carbon tax. Some governments are saying the companies that are most emitters of carbon dioxide, they need to be taxed. This tax, we can use it to enhance the environment. He says, this Alan Hurtsk from the University of Oklahoma, he says the same thing should be done with the media industry. The governments need to tax the media industry because it's responsible for corrupting people, corrupting them. It's creating problems. Boys and girls are growing up in a culture where, unfortunately, according to the researchers, women are treated as objects, and women themselves present themselves as objects to be looked at. Unfortunately, many of us, adults and youngsters, are watching the media, movies, live television, reality TVs, and what is depicted in these things? Have you seen this? Have you seen what is depicted in these things? Women and men are portrayed as objects. Zina, wal-'iyadhu billah, adultery, fornication is promoted like anything. It's not even considered something bad, not even a crime, not even a sin. People grow up in this culture. As they keep watching this over and over and over again, communication theorists indicate that when people start watching this over and over again, they start accepting it as the reality. So a girl thinks it's normal for her to project herself and to be treated as an object of beauty, as the authors suggest. And boys want these girls and expect them to be objects. Wal-'iyadhu billah. What is this causing in the society? Unfortunately, it's causing major harm. And hence, zina, unlawful relationship out of wedlock. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ayat that we discussed says, what does He say? He says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Do not even get near it. He does not say don't do it. Don't even get near it. إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. It is such a major sin and a terrible path. My brothers, have respect for women. Do not treat them as objects. Islam came to say, women are an important and integral part of society. They are to be respected for whom they are, not what they are. So be respectful of them. At the same time, my dear sisters, be proud of your Islamic identity. When Islam came to say, wear the hijab, wear the abaya, this black garment, or the libas al-shar'i, this manto, wear your hijab properly with pride and say, I am the daughter of Fatima, the student of Zainab. Be proud of what you do. This is important, my brothers and my sisters. Islam says don't even get near unlawful relationships. Which means the way that you look at women, control your gaze, men. The way women talk to men, men talk to women. You find sometimes boys and girls sitting down together, shisha, and laughing, joking. The girls is kind of joking with the boys joking with the girls. This environment may lead to the haram. That's why Islam says no. This environment is not lawful. And sometimes our sisters, when they are told, wear the abaya, go to work with your abaya, or with your hijab, your manto, don't wear the tights. The first response I hear is that, Sheikh, that's not fashion. My question to the brothers and the sisters, the same thing to the brothers, huh? Sometimes you find some brothers, wallah, one day I went to the masjid to pray. One day, not today, one day. Okay. I went to the masjid to pray. Every time we go into ruku', there were some boys in front of me. Every time we go to ruku', I have to close my eyes. If you know what I mean. Boys, is that fashion? Huh? Yes? MashaAllah. And you have some boys, mashallah, pumped up. And the shirt is so tight. They're like this. You need to cover up. So fashion for boys and girls. Who sets the fashion? The laws of Allah set the fashion. Who says you cannot wear abaya? The abaya is not fashionable. Who says? You set the fashion. Because the fashion is set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever Allah dictates, that's what I wear. Whatever Fatima Zahra alayha salam wore, that's what I take pride in wearing. Whatever Zainab fought Yazid for, that's what I fight objectification for. We are proud to stand up, my sister. Stand up and proudly say, I am Fatimiyya. I am a lioness Zainabiyya. And I'm proud of it. Because I am Shi'iyya, Haydariyya. That's how we should be. Be proud. Islam, when it came with these rulings, it came for our own benefit. Look what happens in the society when people don't respect the boundaries of Allah. Then, what else? People form unlawful relationships. These come with huge consequences. Even researchers, society is complaining. These unlawful relationships, when the children result from these relationships, what happens? Fathers usually run away. Or in some cases, they can't even identify who the father is. In the United Kingdom, in the UK, there is a newspaper called The Telegraph. In 2013, The Telegraph had an article. The title was, Most Children Will Be Born Out of Wedlock by 2016. Which means this year. The article begins, the proportion of children born to unmarried mothers hit a record 47.5% last year. according to the Office for National Statistics. Then later on, conservative MPs and experts warned that the stark decline of marriage is likely to lead to more family breakdowns and damage children's prospects. Many researchers have shown the same thing. Some researchers say that when children are born out of wedlock, these children do not perform well in life compared to those who are born in a family. Even when the mother remarries and there is a father figure in the family, according to one researcher, he says, in general, the evidence suggests that remarriage neither reproduces nor restores the intact family structure, even when it brings in more income and a second adult into the house. So we need to really, brothers and sisters, concentrate. When Islam says, do not have unlawful relationship, because it has major consequences. When you look at women, look at them with respect. The problem, we live in a society where we are bombarded by television, media, internet, where there is constant message of relationships, objectification of women, having unlawful relationships, to the point where boys and girls, and just like I mentioned, even the cartoons sometimes these children are watching, they are promoting this kind of ideologies, such that these children, these youth, these people are living and growing up in such environments. And what's even worse, such environments, they lead sometimes to the breakdown of the family. Breakdown of the family. A husband, a man, looks at some women in the media, how beautiful they are, mashallah, photoshopped beautifully. And he comes and he looks at his wife. And he says, what is this? That's why there was a magazine called Vanity Fair. The name of the magazine, Vanity Fair. The French version of this magazine, they published the pictures of 16 models with no makeup. To say, this is how they really look like. Their intention is because so many girls, teenage girls, are becoming depressed, emotionally depressed, because they look at these models and they think, I'm not beautiful. This is not the standard of beauty. So what happens? They try to become anorexic, don't eat, they get into physical problems, emotional problems, psychological. So they said, no, let's solve these problems. But unfortunately, this is not what's happening. So what happens is a boy or a man would come. I mentioned to you a few nights ago, one sister came to me and said to me, my husband is forcing me to put makeup on when we go outside because he says to me, I want you to look beautiful when people look at you. A'yadhu billah. It's haram. So unfortunately, sometimes we are setting these standards, and sometimes the other way around. A girl, a woman who's married, her husband says, I don't want you to put makeup on when we go outside. She says, no, I'm sorry, I can't leave the house without makeup. Why not? Because I don't look beautiful otherwise. That's a lack of self-esteem, unfortunately. But that stems from the society that we live in, the culture that we live in. We are bombarded with this message. Look beautiful, look beautiful. These are the standards of beauty. So that's one of the reasons why marriages are being dissolved these days. Of course, it's a big problem. Divorce is a huge problem in the society, in the community. You find a couple marrying and then 8 months later, 1 year later, they're divorced. That's a huge problem, unfortunate problem. People are not understanding the values of marriage. Marriage is not just about a relationship, a physical relationship. It's about a bond, a contract. That's why they did a study among seniors, older people, couples, those who are married in a marriage relationship compared to those who are in what they call a common law relationship. They're not married, but they live together. And maybe they have children together, but they're not married. So this kind of relationship, what we consider in Islam as an unlawful relationship. They did a study. They found the couples who are married, the seniors who are married, they feel a lot more secure and happy than those who are in a common law relationship. Those who are in a common law relationship, as they become seniors, they fear that my partner is going to walk out on me. Why are they afraid? Because there's no contract. This contract is very important. Some people argue, they say, what's the difference? When I was having, this marriage, I do, I accept, I propose. What's the point of all this? It's just words. These words bind you in a contract. One day a man came to a alim, and this alim had people sitting around him. This man, thinks he's educated, doctor, so-and-so, blah, 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 And then he talks to this alim and he says, what is this all nonsense, marriage and non-marriage? I just studied my PhD, my doctorate, in this Western country. There, men, boys, girls just go out, have fun, that's fine. What's the problem with this? What is the difference, this word, a marriage, I propose, I accept. What is the point of all this? They're just words. This alim looked around, he saw that people are being fooled by these words, what he's saying. He's brainwashing them. He's deviating them. So he really wanted to put an end, stop, quickly. This alim immediately turned to this man and said, Ikhras. Be quiet. But he used the other word for be quiet. Now this man became so upset. He's like a scholar, he's a doctor. He became furious, his face turned red. He gets up and he walks away. The alim then turns to the people sitting in the majlis. He says, everyone stays, no one leaves. Everyone stays. So they stay. An hour later, this alim tells the people, everyone says, let's get up. We're going to go to the house of this man, this doctor. He goes to the house of the doctor, knocks the door. The doctor opens the door. He sees this alim. Salamun alaykum. Alaykum as-salam. May I come in? And of course, now the alim has come to the doorstep with all these people. He said, yes, please come on in. He comes in. The alim, in front of everyone who was present at the majlis, he turns to this man, he says, I came here to apologize to you. I beg your forgiveness. Would you please forgive me? He said, oh, thank you very much for coming. I forgive you. It's okay. Don't worry about what happened. Then the alim turned to this man, to this doctor. He said, doctor, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. He said, why did you get upset at the majlis? I just used a word. I told you, quiet. It was just a word. Why did you get upset? So this doctor looked at the alim and he realized where the alim is going. The alim then said to the doctor, don't think that words don't have power. Words are very powerful. I said one word, and that word turned you upside down. It made the blood gush to your face. You turned red from anger. You got up and you left the house. That's because of a word. So do not underestimate the value of a word. When a husband says, qabiltu, I accept the proposal, that word has value. It's binding. It's a contract. So my brothers and my sisters, let's watch our relationships. The hadith says from Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullahi alayh, Imam Ali, salamullahi alayh, says, I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam saying that the zina wal-'iyadhu billah, unlawful relationships, have 6 negative consequences. 3 in dunya and 3 in the akhirah. The 3 in dunya are, they remove the nur from the face. The nur of Iman is gone from the face. Second, yaqta'u rizq. It deprives sustenance. A person who commits a lot of zina, wal-'iyadhu billah, no matter how much he earns money, he starts losing his money. And third, وَيُسْرِعُ الْفَنَاء. It hastens death. A person dies quicker. Now this is the metaphysical aspect of it. A person says, what does this adultery have to do with poverty or whatever? This is the metaphysical. We said consequences to our actions. Every action we do, it has a consequence. This is the 3 consequences in dunya. It makes the nur of Iman disappear from the face, cuts the sustenance, the rizq, and hastens one's death. 3, the 3 in akhirah, غضب الرب والعياذ, the anger of Allah. Allah becomes angry. Second, سوء الحساب والعياذ بالله. When Allah judges you, what will you say on the day of judgment? Allah says, listen, why did you commit all this haram? I had marriage. Marriage was halal. Why did you not follow my advice? There is temporary marriage. There is permanent marriage. And Islam has the details. But their marriages, their contracts, they bind you. Temporary marriage is not like what some people accuse it. They say it's just a way of allowing adultery. No, it's not. It's a contract. And it has its restrictions. It has its guidelines. It's a contract. There are responsibilities and obligations. That contract is binding. So, su'ul hisab. Allah gets angry at a person who commits zina. Allah will judge that person, but it has a wicked judgment. What a bad thing to stand in front of Allah on the day of judgment and say, Ya Allah, I committed this evil act of disobedience. And the third, it will make a person enter into Jahannam wal-'iyadhu billah. So brothers and sisters, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to zina, it's unlawful relationships. You see how researchers are complaining, governments are complaining that these unlawful relationships are causing huge problem for us. They're causing a problem in the society. Families are being melted, broken down. The values of families being broken down. Children are raised in families where they don't even know their parents, their fathers. And even if they know who the father is, it has an impact on them. So this is something very important and very serious, my brothers and my sisters. That's why we really need to realize how can we upbring ourselves, discipline ourselves and our children such that when they grow in a positive environment. Reading Quran, listening to the dua, dhikr of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. My brothers, this is very important. And if we want to learn, let us learn from Abu al-Fadl Abbas salamullahi alayhi and his mother al-Baneen salamullahi alayha, this noble lady. When Imam Ali salamullahi alayhi married al-Baneen salamullahi alayha, the mother of Abu al-Fadl Abbas, the al-Baneen, her name is Fatima bint Hizam al-Kulabiyya. Fatima, when she married Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, on the first day of her wedding, when she came and moved to the house of Imam Ali salamullahi alayhi, Imam Ali called her. He said, Ya Fatima. al-Baneen alayhi salam looked at Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayhi. And he said, she said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, do not call me Fatima anymore. Don't call me by my name. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, why Ya al-Baneen? This is your name? She said that, I know this is my name, but I am afraid if you call me by the name Fatima, my name, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein and Zainab and Kulthum salamullahi alayhim, my masters, they would remember their mother Fatima az-Zahra salamullahi alayha. And every time you call my name, this might bring grief to their hearts. I don't want to be a source of grief for these children of Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam. So please don't call me by my name anymore. Look at the akhlaq. Look at the manners. So that's when Imam Ali alayhi salam gave her the name al-Baneen. She raised her boys. Allah granted her 4 boys, wonderful boys. She raised them in a manner where she told them, do not call Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein by their names. I know they're your brothers, but they are your masters. That's why Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, whenever he would address Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, he would say, Sayyidi Aba Muhammad, my master Aba Muhammad. And whenever he addresses Imam al-Hussein, he would say, Sayyidi Aba Abdullah. He had respect to them, loved them. When Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salamullahi alayh was born, the baby was brought to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayh. al-Baneen brought him this handsome baby, beautiful face, subhanallah. Qamaru Bani Hashim. His face was like bright, like the moon in the sky. So they nicknamed him the moon of Bani Hashim. Imam Ali salamullahi alayh then untied the hands of the baby. He was wrapped. He unwrapped the cloth, brought out the little hands of this baby boy. Imam Ali kissed his hand and started crying. al-Baneen salamullahi alayha got worried. She said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, is there something wrong with the hands of my son? God forbid, is he disabled? Is there something wrong? Why are you crying, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen? Imam Ali looked at her and he said, no, he's not disabled, Ya al-Baneen. There is nothing wrong with his hands. But I'm crying because these hands one day will be lost, while this young boy is defending his brother Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. And this day arrived on the day of Karbala, when all the companions of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam got martyred. All the relatives, the children, the brothers, the cousins of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam got killed. Now he has no one left with him except his brother Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas salamullahi alayh, who was carrying the banner of the army of Imam al-Hussein. He was carrying the flag. In those days, the banner was very important. As long as the banner was up, it means the army is still fighting. If, for whatever reason, the banner falls down, it means the army has been defeated. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas was carrying the banner of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, making sure it's high up, now that there is no one left with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Abu al-Fadl, who was only about 34, 36 years old, brothers and sisters. He was young. He was a young man. And even before the battle, Shimr ibn Dhil-Jawshan, Shimr comes and he says, where are our brothers, Al-Abbas and Ali al-Akbar? Because the mother of Al-Abbas, al-Baneen alayhi salam, from the tribe, she's related to Shimr. And the mother of Ali al-Akbar alayhi salam, Layla, she's related to Yazid from a cousin relationship. So Shimr said, where are our cousins? Let them come, Al-Abbas and Ali al-Akbar. Imam al-Hussein said, go, see what he wants. Abbas goes. Shimr tells him, Abbas and Ali al-Akbar, why are you killing yourself with Abi Abdullah? Come, and I guarantee you peace, safety. No one will touch you. No one will harm you. You are cousins. Al-Abbas looked at him. Now being offered life to a man who's in his youth, in his 30s, he's young. He might think, I have the world ahead of me. But he does not think that way. He loves Imam al-Hussein, salamullahi alayhi. He loves him not just as his brother, but his Imam. How much do we love Imam al-Hussein, brothers and sisters? When Imam al-Hussein says to us, I don't want you to look at the haram, can we say, yes, master? When Imam al-Hussein tells us, my sister, wear your hijab the way that I want you to wear it, the way that Allah has taught you to wear it, can we say, yes, master? When Imam al-Hussein, my brothers and my sisters, tell us, when you have interactions together, when you talk to each other with modesty, with respect, not laughing, joking around, talk in an environment that is within the boundaries of Allah, can we learn to say, yes, master? Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, life was given to him as an opportunity. He looked at Shimr and he said, ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ يَبْنَ ذِي الْجَوْشَنِ. May you have died, يَبْنَ ذِي الْجَوْشَنِ. أَتُعْطِينِ الْأَمَانِ وَابْنُ بِنْتِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ لَا أَمَانَ لَهِ. You are giving me the peace and the safety, and the son of Rasulullah has no peace and safety. He turns around and goes back. This is easier said than done. We might say, oh yes, I would have done the same. Sure. If I can't even sacrifice my desires, how can I sacrifice my life for Imam al-Hussein? Brothers, think about it. If Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam comes today and he looks at us, boys and girls, and he says to us, what do you listen to on your phones and your gadgets? What do you watch on television? How do you treat one another? How are your manners and akhlaq? What do you wear? Do you think we will be up to the standards that he wants? It's easier to say we want to be with Abi Abdullah. But really, brothers and sisters, let us think of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and try to be like him. Life was given to him, an opportunity given to him. But he told, no, I want to be with Abi Abdullah. I love Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. On the day of Ashura, when all the companions have been killed, the family has been killed. At that point, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas comes to Imam al-Hussein, salamullahi alayhi. He says, Akhi Aba Abdullah, give me the permission to go to the battlefield. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam looks at Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He says, Abu al-Fadl, you're the one who's carrying my banner. You're the one who's taking care of Zainab. You're the one who's taking care of my children and my women. If you go and die, then what will happen to my banner? What will happen to Zainab and the children? He said, Ya Aba Abdullah, but I can't see you in this state and stand without doing anything. I must defend you and defend my religion. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam says, if that is the case, then why don't you go and fetch some water for the children of Abi Abdullah, as they are thirsty and dying of thirst. They have not had any water for 3 days. As he said this, the children of the camp of Abi Abdullah started crying, Al-Atayash, Al-Atayash. We are thirsty, we are thirsty. So Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas said, okay, Ya Aba Abdullah, give me the bag of water and I will head to the river of Furat and get you the water. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas took the bag of water. He was supposed to go and come back. That's why he did not bid his farewell to Zainab. He did not tell her, Zainab, goodbyes, I'm going. He did not bid his farewell to Sukayna, to the children of Abi Abdullah, because his mission was to go and come back. He went to the river of Furat. Umar ibn Sa'd, may Allah send his la'na on him, had put 4,000 men on the river of Furat to block Imam al-Hussein and his army from reaching the water. When Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas approached them, they ran away from him. He was like a lion attacking a herd. They dispersed. They saw it. He reminded them of Ali ibn Abi Talib. It is as if Ali ibn Abi Talib is attacking them. So these people ran away. They dispersed. They got scared. They opened the way for him. He made it to the river of Furat. Now he is so thirsty. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, the heart of my uncle Al-Abbas was burning like a charcoal from thirst. He dips his hands to drink from the water, cold water. He raises his hands with water in them. He brings it closer to his mouth. And all of the sudden, they see him letting go of the water. Why? Why isn't Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas drinking? We know he's very thirsty. And then he recited these verses of poetry. Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Husayn huni فبعده لا كنت أن تكوني هذا حسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين والله ما هذا فعال ديني ولا فعال صادق اليقين أنا أشرب لذيذ الماء حاشا وابو اليمة وأطفال عطاشا. Oh my soul, how could you drink the water when your master Hussein is so thirsty? What will you say to Allah and to Haydar on the day of judgment when asked, why did you drink when your master Hussein is thirsty? By Allah, these are not the teachings of my religion and my parents. He lets go of the water. He remembers the thirst of Abi Abdullah al-Husayn. Look at the nobility, look at the honor, look at the integrity of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. But rather, honor and integrity are defined by Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. They don't define him. He fills the bag of water. Now all his concern is to go back to the tent so he can get the water to the children of Abi Abdullah. This is his biggest concern. This is his mission. He's carrying the bag. He puts it on his chest. He puts it, as a strap right on his chest. And he has the banner and the sword. He rushes to the camp of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Umar ibn Sa'd shouts, O people, O army, intercept his path, for if the water reaches the camp of Hussein, we will never be able to defeat him. So thousands of men surround Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He starts fighting them like a brave lion. His biggest concern is to get the camp and the water to the camp. Then one of the enemies hides behind a palm tree. As Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas goes by him, he strikes him on his right hand, cutting his right hand off. His right hand fell down, but this brave lion starts calling, والله إن قطعتم يميني. إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني وعن إمام صادق اليقين سبط النبي المصطفى الأمين. I swear by Allah, if you cut off my right hand, this will not deter me from fighting and defending the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alim. He carries the banner and the sword with his left hand. He continues going to the camp. He wants to get the water to Sukaina, to Ruqayya, to Zainab. Another enemy of Allah hides behind another palm tree. As Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas goes by him, he strikes him on his left hand, cutting it off. But even then, he does not feel the pain. He takes the banner to his chest. He wants to keep the banner high. The banner of Hussein is not going to go down for as long as I'm alive. يا نفس لا تخشي من الكفار وأبشري برحمة الجبار قطعوا ببغيهم يساري فصلهم يا رب حر النار. Oh myself, don't be deterred by these enemies. Don't be worried by the cutting off of the left hand. But Ya Allah, punish them in your hellfire for what they have done to me. But even then he feels no pain. He is rushing to the camp of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. All his concern is to keep the banner high up and to get the water to the camp. Then the enemy starts showering him with arrows. One arrow strikes his eye. Then he still continues. Even then he does not feel the pain. When does he feel the pain? When one of the arrows strikes the bag of water. As the bag of water now is pouring out, that's when Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas stops. That's when he feels the pain. Now I'm unable to deliver the water to Sukaina. I will not be able to get the water to Ruqayya. I cannot now see Zainab. One of the enemies at that moment takes a pillar and he strikes Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas on his head. Ya mu'mineen, ya mu'minat. When we fall, as we fall, every human being, what do? You naturally put your arms forward to stop your fall and break your fall. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas fell off his horse, but he did not have hands to break the fall. He fell right on his face, right on the arrows, right on the spears of the enemies. And that's when the banner of Abi Abdullah fell on the plains of Karbala. He cried for the first time in his life. He said, Akhi Hussein, adrikni. Oh brother Abu Abdullah. The first time he calls him brother, he always says master. But this is the last time he's going to leave dunya. He knows his brother loves this word, akhi. So he calls him, Akhi Abu Abdullah, come and see your brother. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam rushes to the river of Furat. When he sees Abu al-Fadl, the right hand is on one side, the left hand is on the other, an arrow in the eye, a spear in the chest. He cries, أخي أبا الفضل الآن انكسر ظهري. أخي الآن انكسر ظهري وقلت حيلتي وشمت بي عدوي وآل جمعي للشتات. Brother, now I feel as if my back is broken. Now I feel I have no army left. Now my banner fell on the plains of Karbala. All of you brothers and sisters shout together, Aywa Abbas. Everybody, Aywa Abbas. Again, Aywa. أخويا يا أبو فاضل خويا علي الأكبر تركته ومنحره يجري عزيز وراح من إيدي وعليه تمالكت صبري لكن قلي لكن فقدك يا أبو الغيرة اشعب البحوالي ما تدري هدم بنيانا مالي وحق جدي وكسر ظهري. Then Imam al-Hussein came to him. He took his head, he put it on his chest. Some narrations say Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas at that moment took his head and put it on the sands of Karbala. Imam al-Hussein a second time took the head of Abu al-Fadl, put it on his chest. A second time he puts it on the plains of Karbala. A third time he puts it on the sand. Imam al-Hussein says, Ya Abu al-Fadl, let me hold your head on my chest. These final moments. Abu al-Fadl says, Ya Aba Abdullah, ya, if you hold my head now, in an hour who will hold your head, Ya Aba Abdullah? Who will take care of you, Ya Aba Abdullah? Your head will be placed on the spears of Bani Umayyah. And then he says, brother, let me carry you to the tents like I carried Ali al-Akbar, like we carried Al-Qasim, like we carried the Mu'mineen. He says, no, Ya Aba Abdullah, leave me here next to the river of Furat. Why, Ya Aba al-Fadl? Why don't you come with me like the rest of them? Oh, Aba Abdullah, how am I gonna see Sukaina? How am I gonna hug Ruqayya? Oh, Aba Abdullah, what will I say to your children? I failed to bring you the water. Leave me here, Ya Abu Abdullah. يقل يا خويا خليني بمكاني يقل ليش يا زهرة زماني يقل وعدت سكنة تراني أجيب الماء للخيم أصدر. And then as he was next to Abi Abdullah, his soul leaves the body. Imam al-Hussein cries, Aywa akha, Aywa Abbas. And he gets up, leaving him next to the river of Furat. He heads back to the tent. Who's at the tent? Zainab alayha salam, Sukaina, Ruqayya. They come rushing to Abi Abdullah. Ya Aba Abdullah, is Abbas coming back? Is my brother coming back? Did he bring the water? Imam al-Hussein cries, he says, عظم الله لك الأجر بمصاب أبي الفضل العباس زينب. I just came from the river of Furat. Abbas has no right hand, no left hand. An arrow is shot in his eye, and his soul has departed his body. Ya Zainab. Zainab then cried, Aywa akha. Yell together 3 times, Aywa Abbasa, wa Abba. Shout with Zainab. وعبا هي وعبا وضيعته وبعدك يا أبا الفضل. يقلها يا زينب راح عباس، راح الضيغم اللي يرفع الراس. زينب Abbas is gone. Your protector is gone. That is why it is said on the 10th day of Muharram at night, when Zainab alayha salam quieted everyone down, she managed to calm everyone down. People then rested. The children, the orphans, the women, they gathered all of them, and now she's now to herself. She is seen walking away from the camp. Where are you going, Ya Zainab? She says, I have a farewell, a goodbye that was not done. My brother Abbas never said goodbye to me. I want to go say my goodbyes to him, because tomorrow I'll be leaving him. She goes, she sits next to the body, she cries, Akhi Abul Fadl, Akhi Abbas, you did not say goodbye to me. You were supposed to come back to me, but you stayed next to the river of Furayat. The poets try to portray this image as if Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas replies back, as if he says, Ya Zainab, forgive your brother Abbas. If I had my hands, Ya Zainab, if I was not shot with an arrow in my eye, Ya Zainab, I would have come back to you with the water, Ya Zainab. تعتبين يا زينب علي، أنا وين راسي وين دي، لكن يا زينب شبيدي أخوك وتدرين الحرب عيدي، أنا لو أن كانت تنوش السيف إيدي ما كان ظل وحده ضيدي. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Many mu'mineen, many mu'minat requested us to remember them in our dua. Some of them are ill, some of them undergoing surgery, some of them in very difficult times. Some sisters who've given us some names of some of their loved ones. We remember all of them, inshallah. We all have hajat. This humble servant of Ahlul Bayt begs for your dua as well. We all have hajat. We all have needs. With these eyes full of their tears for Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, with these broken hearts for this noble man, let us raise our hands in dua. But brothers and sisters, remember to pray to Allah sincerely, wholeheartedly, with these hearts of yours now that have been crying, with these eyes of yours that have been crying, and say, Ya Rabb, make me like Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Make me love Hussein alayhi salam like Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Make me stop disobeying you, Ya Allah, and turn to Allah and love Abi Abdullah like Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Let's raise our hands in dua, each and every one, brothers and sisters, all of us together, young and old. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر لقضاء الحوائج. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه لشفاء المرضى. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه لنصرة الإسلام وتعجيل الفرج. أمن يجيب اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم 10 times together. يا الله 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 لا إلهي بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها اكشف عنا السوء يا الله. اللهم اغفر ذنوبنا كفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار مع محمد وآله الأطهار يا الله. إلهي بأبي الفضل العباس باب الحوائج اجعلنا وذريتنا إلى يوم الدين من شيعة الحسين المتقين يا الله ومن خدمة الحسين المخلصين يا الله. اللهم بباب الحوائج أبو الفضل العباس اقض حوائج المؤمنين والمؤمنات يا الله. شافي وعافي جميع مرضى المؤمنين والمؤمنات يا الله. على الخصوص من أوصونا بالدعاء منهم اللهم اقض حوائجهم شافي مرضاهم احفظهم في أوطانهم وديارهم بحفظك ورحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. رب اغفر لي ولوالدي وارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا اجزهما بالإحسان إحسانا وبالسيئات غفرانا. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من شيعته وأنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه. Together اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل وليا هو قائدا ولا هو دليلا وعين حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أرنا الطلعة الرشيدة والغرة الحميدة واكحل أنظارنا بنظرة منا إليه. اللهم وهب لنا رضاه ودعاءه وشفاعته وزيارته. إلهنا مولانا نقسم عليك بصاحبة العزاء فاطمة الزهراء يا الله إلا ما رزقتنا شفاعة الزهراء في الدنيا في القبر وفي الآخرة يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله. لقضاء الحوائج ولشفاء المرضى ولكشف هذه الغمة عن هذه الأمة ولتعجيل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات لا سيما أرواح أموات الجالسين والحاضرين والباذلين والمشاركين والمؤسسين والمتبرعين وكذلك إلى روح والدتي المرحومة رحم الله من يقرأ السورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخات والأرحام المطهرات. لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الردي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبيابكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سيل وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل السماوات والأرض فلعن الله أمتان أسرجت والجمت وتحيت وتنقبت لقتاله يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله قصدت حرمك وأتيت إلى مشهدك أسأل الله بالشأن الذي لك عنده وبالمحل الذي لك لدى أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد وأن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Thank you to all our reciters tonight, and a big thank you to Sheikh Dr. Osama Al-Attar for your continuous enlightenment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase each and every one of you. This concludes tonight's program. Thank you all for your attendance. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
مثل البحر ما جاء أرض المدينة يوم قصد جدة وعفر جبينه وعرج على الروضة يزور الحزينة عليها ضلوعه فاضت منا دموعه فاضت منا دموعه عاد بقلب مكسور ودموعه تجري على الخدين على الخدين عاد بقلب مكسور ودموعه تجري